All right. Well, welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for coming. We're a nice small group, so let's make this just interactive and
Mhm.
please share any thoughts, any questions along the way. And I'll pause a little bit just so you can ask questions kind of at different points of today's session. So, this is just an information session. Um, I do have it scheduled for an hour, but I don't think we'll go the full hour. I'm going to kind of zip through the materials of the class. I'll share with you
Mhm.
what the course curriculum looks like, kind of the features of the course, the framework for the program, and then give you a little teaser of each of the modules. So, and then we'll wrap up with kind of some next steps and things to think about in terms of enrollment, and if you guys both, if you want to participate in the full course or not, I'll give you kind of those next steps. So, I am Sally McGee, as you guys have figured that out. Danya and I already know each other from
Mhm.
some previous work together. And Miriam, you were referred to me from Karen Dorsey, from another client of mine. So, just a quick little intro slide. I have 25 years, which makes me sound old, but 25 years in the engineering and construction industry. I am a licensed professional engineer in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I live in California, but I'm licensed in Virginia. I'm a newly certified, professional certified coach. So I just officially,
Yay.
thank you, got my PCC designation
Mhm.
after years of being a Gallup certified strengths coach. I've been one of those for for over a decade.
Mhm.
I'm certified in Myers-Briggs. I have a couple other coaching certificates from some various other organizations, as you can see on the screen there. So, what I'm really bringing to this program is just a ton of resources over about, I basically spent about 10 to 12 years in engineering and project management, and then about 15 years, if that math doesn't add up entirely correctly, but about 12 to 15 years as a coach. So, what I'm bringing really is a lot of the coaching resources to this program between Gallup Clifton Strengths, which I'm going to share with you, and Donya's got her little cheat sheet there with her
Mhm.
results. And so Clifton Strengths and Wellbeing, along with a number of other positive psychology and neuroscience resources. And I've just listed a bunch of kind of my favorites there on the screen. Positive Intelligence by Shirzad Shamin, if you're familiar with the PQ um, framework. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in an upcoming slide. The Happiness Advantage is one of my favorite books by Sean Achor. Various books by Brene Brown. There's a great podcast called Unfuck Your Brain, excuse the language. Um, that she really brings a feministic type of approach, which this book, I mean, this course has a little bit of flavor to that, as you might imagine, being for women in the industry.
Mhm.
And a number of others there that I just have there on the screen. So I'm pulling a lot of resources from basically like the past 10 or so 15 years of my coaching experience into this program. um, my real affinity is toward working with women in construction. I'm a partnering facilitator kind of in my day job, but I also do executive and leadership coaching. And so to compile this program, I really have pulled from just a ton of resources throughout working with women in the industry, and then all of kind of some of the examples that you see there on the screen. So a little bit about the course and kind of the framework and some deadlines. As a leadership and executive coach, I offer two leadership sessions, one at the beginning of the program and one at the end of the program. So we start off with a one-on-one leadership coaching session, and then there's six workshops. So six virtual workshops that are 90 minutes each. They run every other Thursday for 90 minutes. And then at the end of the program, you get a final one-on-one coaching session with me. So it's really the bookends of the program are really around
Mhm.
coaching. The group workshops, I'm going to show you kind of the framework of the curriculum. Um, but one of the benefits or kind of features of this class is to really broaden your network with other high achieving women in the industry. It is geared toward kind of the high potential, project leads, discipline leads, those that really want to learn and grow and flourish and thrive in their careers.
Mhm.
I've got listed on the slide a max of of 12 participants. It's between 10 to 12. I actually haven't had that many. Most of the courses have been around 8 or 9. So it's a nice small cohort, and really it's designed so that the women in the course get to know one another. You spend, 9 hours together essentially over the course of the program, through the different workshops. And it really is designed for that kind of small cohort experience. Um, I've built the program around this framework that I call Align, and it's around the name of the course is called the Alignment Solution. And it's really to refine your unique leadership style in alignment with your core values, your strengths, and your authenticity. Danya, hold up the book there real quick again. Show Miriam the book. So Clifton Strengths, or Strengths Finder, thank you for the prop there,
Mhm.
is included in the program. You get 2 reports. So you'll get your all 34. Danya, it sounds like you just had your top 5.
Mhm.
So there are 34 themes of talents. You get all 34, and then you get a special leadership report also with the course. The workshop dates run the first one is September 11th, and then it runs through November 20th. And they're scheduled every other Thursday morning from 10 o'clock Pacific, so 10 to 11:30 Pacific, 1 to 2:30 Eastern. And like I said, they're every other Thursday, kind of spaced out between Labor Day and Thanksgiving, essentially. First coaching session is scheduled for early September, right before that September 11th kickoff. And then the deadline to register is not this Friday, but next Friday. So we've
Next
got about
Friday.
2 weeks to still compile the cohort, and the tuition is $22.95 for the 3 month of the whole course covers 3 months essentially. And that's expected that and Danya, you and I can talk about this too. It's expected that your employer would cover the tuition. And I've got a nice little template that you can send your manager to ask for approval if that would be helpful.
Mhm.
So the framework looks like this. There are 6 workshops, and I built it around this what I call the alignment solution. Is this align framework? The first workshop is around authenticity and building self-awareness. The second one is called your leadership lens and limiting beliefs. The third one is the intersection. This is really the third and fourth. The intersection of well-being is part 1, and core values is part 2. The growth mindset is workshop 5, and then nevertheless she persisted is the N in the framework, is really around building resiliency skills. So if you're familiar with that term, I don't know if you've heard that term, nevertheless she persisted before, but it's really has a slight feministic kind of slant to it, but it's really around building resiliency. So what I'll do is just kind of fairly quickly run through kind of each of the modules just to give you a little bit of preview, but please, are there any questions just as I get rolling here? And I want to give you the time just to ask questions, give any feedback just before I roll into the first module. Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
Um, So, Danya, you've done the Clifton Strengths assessment,
Mhm.
or everyone will do their Clifton Strengths in the beginning part of late August, early September to get their full results. And what Clifton Strengths really is it's a positive psychology tool that thousands of the best organizations really ingrain Gallup Clifton Strengths into their culture. Over 90% of Fortune 500 companies use Clifton Strengths to engage employees and boost team performance. So it's an assessment that you do that identifies your natural talents. There's 34 themes of talent. They are themes like learner, achiever, relator, arranger. There's 34 of them. And why do we use Clifton Strengths? Um, it is a well-recognized business tool. As I mentioned, over 90% of Fortune 500 companies are using it. Positive psychology is really where business is going. Instead of looking at what's wrong with you, the framework now or managing or dealing with your weaknesses, it's really around focusing on your positive and your positive attributes or your strengths. So where performance assessments used to just tell you what you're not good at and you have to work on all of your weaknesses. Really, we're shifting that conversation to be more strengths based. And that's what this tool helps us do. It's around, there's over 35 million users to date. Actually, we just passed the 35 million mark for how many people have taken the assessment, and it's based on over 4 decades of research. So theme dynamics are very nuanced, and we'll talk a lot
Mhm.
about this in the first workshop, is really around what is Clifton Strengths and how do I help it? How does helping, how does knowing your strengths really help me in a leadership role? And here's a few facts and figures. The people who are focused on their strengths are more than 3 times as likely to report having an excellent quality of life, 6 times as likely to be engaged in their jobs, almost 8% more productive in their roles, 6 times as likely to do what they do best every day. And then teams who receive strengths feedback have almost 9% higher profitability rather. Sorry.
That is something interesting because my husband is a teacher, and
Okay.
then he told me that the first thing that he learned to when he became a teacher is that it is really difficult. Something that people in general know is to know your weakness. And you
Mm.
can see the weakness, you can see that, but no, it's difficult to see your strengths. And
Yeah.
this is you have to get that ability
Mhm.
to teach someone else, to do
Mm.
someone else. He told me you should apply 70% strengths and 30% what a person should improve, not the contract. If you can recognize that on a person, that will be great,
Uh-huh.
and you can work with it.
Well, and this is how we reach our potential, is when you know your strengths and you're able to
Mhm.
apply your strengths. Really the kind of the summary of this of the first module is that you don't have to be a different person to be successful.
Successful, yeah.
You don't have to be all things to all people. You can't be anything you want to be, but you can be more of who you already are, and you can learn how to be a better version of who you already are based on your strengths and your core values. Um, so Clifton Strengths is a really powerful tool for this, what opens up this self-awareness, which is your first module in the course.
Mhm.
Excuse me, this is just a quick snapshot. There are 34 themes or talents, and they're
Mhm.
divided into these 4 categories. And we'll talk more about this in the course to help you understand what are your strongest strengths or your dominant talents. The All 34 report gives you your whole sequence, so you get that as part of the course. So you will know what's in the bottom of your list. Those are your weaknesses or your lesser talents, and we'll learn, how to manage around what do our weaknesses tell us and how do we manage our weaknesses and play to our strengths, right? So that's the first module. We'll also take a look at the whole team, the whole cohort, the whole group together, and kind of plot them out on a grid, and look at everyone's strengths together and have a conversation around, what are our common strengths, what are our less common strengths as a group, and really use this framework. It's called Name It, Claim It, Aim It, where we learn that
Mhm.
from a self-awareness piece, we learn how to name our strengths.
Mhm.
So that's name it. Claim it is really taking ownership, and that's about self appreciation. And then the aim it is about the application of our strengths. So, how do we not just know our strengths? Like Danya, you said, okay, well, I have learner, achiever, or learner, relator, individualization.
Mhm.
That's what they're called, but what do I do with them, right? So, we'll,
Mhm.
in that first workshop, really work on how to aim your talents and how to use them productively. So that's what the first module looks like. That's workshop 1 that's coming up on September 11th.
Mhm.
So like I said, everyone would do their strengths, get their reports well in advance of that first workshop. You'll have time to read through your reports and your results. And then, so that's the first workshop. And then the second workshop is called The Leadership Lens and Limiting Beliefs. So it's a number of L's there in the alignment
Mhm.
curriculum. And this is where we dive into, as I mentioned, the positive intelligence or PQ, where you can actually measure your your what they call the PQ quotient, where your mind it can either act as your best friend or your worst enemy. And PQ measures the relative strengths of these two modes of your mind. PQ is similar just in concept to IQ, EQ, there's PQ. The positive
Mhm.
intelligence is this PQ. It's really this kind of blend of neuroscience, positive psychology, cognitive behavioral therapy or psychology, and then performance science. So it's got those kind of four elements to it. Really, the gist of this is to teach you how to have some self mastery. And that is through this concept called mental fitness, where we can change our thoughts and create new thought patterns with intention. So we're managing that self-sabotaging voice and really having our mind work to be our best friend or our supporter. Whoops. We all have an inner critic. And so
Mhm.
being able to understand what is that inner critic telling me? What are those false truths that they think that they're convincing us of? Like for women in construction, maybe I'm not good enough or not smart enough to be at the table, or I don't fit in because I don't look the same as my male counterparts. We're minorities in the industry, so all of us have this inner dialogue that is really this inner critic. So the leadership lens and limiting beliefs is really helping us to look at our own lenses and that self-talk and how to manage um, our leadership lenses and really think new thoughts with intention. Does that make
That's really good.
a
Yes.
little preview?
Um,
Yeah, go ahead, Danya.
I was going to say this is very interesting because, all these thoughts we have day in, day out can be so debilitating
Yeah.
as that little hamster that's up there just going at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone in the course has shared what those inner critic voices sound like and what they're saying. And it's a matter of like understanding does it say that you need to be perfect or that everything you do needs to be
Mhm.
perfect and you have that perfectionist. There are actually 9 saboteurs, so saboteur voices that we
Mhm.
can
Mm.
do it. Part of the course is to do an assessment. We'll do this as part of the homework from workshop 2 is to figure out what those primary saboteurs are. And so um, that's part of this series also. It's called the PQ assessment. So it's another assessment that you'll do as part of this course. And understand, is it the stickler or the victim or the pleaser? There's 9 of them. They have different names and they all
Mm.
say different things.
In-
So it's an interesting
Interesting.
little
Yeah,
assessment to do as part of the course.
that's very interesting.
Yeah. People usually really enjoy it. I mean, it's psychology. So
Mhm.
part of what I offer in this course is a little bit of some new trains of thought for some different exposure, because most women in engineering and construction maybe have taken a intro to psychology class, or maybe they've done some therapy, but probably don't know about um, this as a concept. So there's a little bit of psychology kind of built into the course curriculum. Workshop 3 is around, this is workshop 3 and 4, is the intersection of well-being and core values. And there are 5 elements of well-being. This is a little preview into this module. There's physical, career, social, financial, and community are the 5. Um, and this is based on Gallup's research. It's called Well-Being at Work. I don't have my little book here with me today, but it's a book called Well-Being at Work and how teams really thrive. So Gallup has studied over 98% of the world's population and have really deduced that these 5 areas are the most important for people to thrive in their lives. And we go from a scale of suffering to struggling to thriving, kind of a 3 different categories, and where we want to be is thriving, obviously. So
Mhm.
these are the 5 elements. Workshop 3 dives into each of the 5 and gives you some tools to work with yourself and with your teams to have well-being conversations with your teams as managers, because most of the people in the course have direct reports or are working, on teams. So it's some tools to help build those conversations around these 5 elements. So physical is that you have the energy to get things done. Career is that you like what you do every day. Social is that you have meaningful friendships in your life. Financial is you manage your money well. And community is you like where you live. So that's how all 5 of them are defined. So, so that's a little preview of workshop 3. Workshop 4 brings in the core values aspect. So I call this the intersection of well-being and core values. Have either of you done a core values exercise before? Like thought about what your non-negotiables are?
I have in the past, yes.
Okay. So I give you a worksheet that looks something like this. These are just some samples that there's also another website that I give as reference that you can dive into other core values, but these are the ones that are just part of my worksheet. So harmony, ancestry, health, emotional well-being, dignity, knowledge. What you'll do is kind of do this sorting exercise to say, here's 20 something cards to kind of sort through, and these are the ones that are the most important to you. The exercise is really around dialing in your top 4 to 5, and then we rate them on, this is another just a preview of the worksheet, we rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, and then think about some action steps for really moving up the ladder, so to speak, from a core values and from a well-being standpoint. So we look at, are your core values aligned with well-being elements, and if not, that's not a problem, but just looking at how do they intersect, and is there some alignment there around, your family or your career or your health, and how does that fit into the core values the well-being elements. So we do an exercise around looking at, it's like a metaphor of looking at a ladder, and how do you move up the ladder a couple scale points on each, from a well-being standpoint and from a core value standpoint. And then one of the other exercises we do is using this book called Tiny Habits. I'm curious if you're familiar with this one by Dr. BJ Fogg.
No, I haven't seen this one before.
Yeah, this is a great book. Came out a
Okay.
couple of years ago. Dr. BJ Fogg is a positive psychologist that's based out of Stanford University. And, the idea is incorporating tiny habits into your life. He gives a couple examples of where there's a recipe where you can, it's like, after I make my morning coffee, I'll put on my sneakers and walk to the mailbox and back, and use that if you want to start like a walking routine. It's a tiny habit, walking to the mailbox and back.
Back.
Or walking around the house or the apartment complex, or just starting with a tiny habit, and then you expand the habit. There's a recipe model that he gives, and I go through that as part of workshop 3 and 4, as part of this kind of series of workshops in the middle. I didn't do a very good job of explaining it just now, but
You did well.
good enough. Anyway, the idea is, tiny habits lead to big change over time. And I love this little graphic here. If you change nothing, nothing will change.
That will
Right?
change.
So
Yes.
how can you start to incorporate some small habit changes? And there's a difference between, building a habit versus taking an action. Like building a habit is flossing your teeth every day versus taking an action of going to the dentist, twice a year, right? So you want to build in those healthy habits that are going to lead to, having good dental hygiene versus, an action of going to the dentist. That was just an example, but the idea is we want to be building these healthy habits that lead to big change over time versus doing a one-time type of action, right?
I wonder if it's true. You know how they say that to build a habit, it takes what, 21 days?
Well, that's not what's true, actually.
Oh, okay.
That's part of this conversation in this module,
Uh-huh.
is that it takes positive emotion to have
Oh,
the habit stick. So that's the part of the recipe is it's called ABC, is after I'm trying to remember what it is. You put me on the spot here.
oh, sorry.
After build,
After I built drink, after I have my morning coffee, I will build this habit of, walking to the mailbox every day.
Uh,
And then I will celebrate is the C. I will celebrate. I'll give
yeah.
myself a high five. I'll do something. I'll like jump in the air and, do something to celebrate. It's the
Hmm.
celebration that invokes the positive emotion in the brain that
Hmm.
is like a little hit of dopamine. And the dopamine receptors are affiliated with the learning module. So you're in your brain. So your brain wants to do more of it, and that's how it learns. So that's why a little dopamine hit is part of the equation. That
Hmm.
celebration is like it's that positive emotion that makes the habit stick.
Okay.
Not a
Interesting.
not a 21 days, or I'm sure you've heard
Yeah.
60 days or 90 days,
Yeah.
5 days. Yeah, this book actually really explains it well, that it's the positive emotion that gets for sustained behavior change. So it's the
Okay.
celebration piece.
That's interesting because, they always sell that, oh, 21 days, that builds a habit, but they don't
Yeah,
give you the rest of the story.
not true.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
All right. So zipping through our curriculum here, the workshop 5 is called Growth Mindset, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with what a fixed mindset or what a growth mindset looks like. Fixed mindset makes excuses, driven to place blame on other people, avoids that they've had any role in the problem. Um, versus a growth mindset type of leader is focused on learning and growing yourself, looking at success being part of the journey and not the destination. They focus on what they've learned through their experience, and also with your team. Having a team full of growth mindset people is really the way to achieve long-term success. So we do some exercises here around growth mindset. This module also gives you strategies from the PQ core part of the course, where we look at there's five. I don't have a slide on this, but there's 5 ways to invoke that positivity or the positive mindset, and look at, for example, looking at a setback as a mode of, or a means of growth or opportunity. So that's one strategy. So you have a setback, instead of looking at it as a failure, how can you look at it as an opportunity for growth or opportunity? So that's a little preview
yeah,
of what we do.
that is the most difficult sometimes.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
not easy, that's for sure. Um, yeah, so that's a little preview of what we do in as growth mindset, and then the PQ piece. And then nevertheless she persisted is the 6th workshop. Workshop 6 is the N in the alignment framework. And this is all about building resilience skills. So
Hmm.
we go back to our Clifton Strengths reports, and we look at Clifton Strengths for preventing burnout. So that's what this whole module is about: preventing burnout and building resilience skills. Um, this is just a snapshot of one of the pages in the leaders report, the Clifton Strengths for Leaders, which you would get this as part of the curriculum. These are the action steps for responsibility talents. For as an example, in this module, we have a discussion around what am I committed to that I need to let go, or that I need to keep, and what am I committed to that I need to let go of. And these are some good kind of just coaching questions to really think about preventing burnout, and is there too much on your plate? And because a lot of high achieving women who are part of this course have too much on their plates and have a hard time saying no and are
Mhm.
overcommitting to themselves and to their bosses. And that's what leads to burnout. So if we can have a conversation now around, what am I committed to that I need to keep and what do I need to let go of? How can I delegate? And do I have the right talents to be able to delegate effectively? What does that look like? And what are those things that are my non-negotiables that I do need to keep and hold on to?
Mhm.
So I give two examples. Here's another one. This is for Relator for building resilience. Danya, this is one of your
Mhm.
talents. Is start developing future leaders. Serving as a mentor are some of the action steps for leaders for for Relator talents, and that's also around paying it forward. Right? Is
Mhm.
looking at who are those people in your network that you can start developing, that you can start to build the skills, the capacities, and the leadership capabilities of those that are coming behind you, right? Then I share this 10 rules for brilliant women. This is I'm gonna kind of skip through this here real quickly. I want to make sure we've got enough time to cover everything else here today and give you a little time back. This is based on these are just 10 rules here. I'm just gonna flip through it real quickly. Based on this book by Tara Moore. Her book is called Playing Big. Excellent book, by the way. Whether you take this course or not, read this book. It's a great book. Um, and then this is kind of the wrap up. So what I call this course is really a course around developing your authenticity and your authentic leadership style. A strengths based life. It is all based on Clifton Strengths. As you saw, you'll see Clifton Strengths kind of woven throughout the course, but it has benefits that lead beyond your own self knowledge and self confidence. Expressing your strengths fosters positive relationships and creates a beneficial impact for those that you interact with every day. So, making a positive contribution to the world around you by being your best self, and that's what we started with at the beginning of this series. Is like you don't have to be anyone. You can't be anything to everyone, right?
Mhm.
But you can be your best self, and you can be your authentic, true to yourself and true to your strengths and your core values. So where your strengths, your values, your beliefs, your behaviors are all in alignment with your authentic self. So that's like I said, just kind of a quick snapshot of all 6 modules of the group workshops. I gave a couple examples in the previous, and I'll send you guys these slides if you want these references, but these are all the books that I pulled from to build all the materials for the course. So Positive Intelligence, Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office is another great book. Lean In, Wellbeing at Work. There's a couple of really good podcasts also that I've referenced down here.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, let's see. Let's see, what else do I have for you? The flyer for the course, I think both of you have the flyer that's got all of the dates that are listed. This is just the dates that are for the fall course starting on September 11th. And then, as I mentioned, they're every other Thursday from 10 to 11:30 Pacific or
Mhm.
1 to 2:30 Eastern. And then, I've really gotten some really great feedback from others that have taken the course. These are some of the testimonials. They loved it. It's an excellent program, contained more information and insight than I expected. Um, it's really geared toward your whole life, looking at your not just your work life, but your whole life, because we are whole people, right? And
Mhm.
I think it's
It's true.
important to acknowledge that. Um, by having a smaller group, we felt comfortable with the group to share personal experiences. So there really is an aspect of networking and being vulnerable with one another and really sharing with each other as part of the cohort. So there's definitely that networking part of it also. Um, Danya, and I'm sure AP or a project.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
she took the pilot of this course a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Karen Dorsey, Miriam is the one that recommended you. She took the course also a couple years ago. So I would encourage you to reach out to both of them if you had any
Mm-hmm.
questions or wanted to know the inside scoop. I'm giving you that my perspective and then obviously sharing some of the testimonials from
Mm-hmm.
others. But it's gotten really good feedback over the years. This cohort in the fall will be my 5th time running it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's pretty tried and true, kind of tested with a number of cohorts that have come before you guys. And then if you need support from your manager, this is just an email template. Like I said, I'll give you these slides so you can copy and
Mm-hmm.
paste if this looks like it might be helpful. But this is just an email template you could send to your manager if your manager is supportive of taking a leadership training like this. And this is, the best conversation or the best way to get your managers to support is to have a conversation with him or her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And with that, I'd love to just say thank you. And I'll
Oh.
stop sharing the slides so we can actually see each other. I'm happy to pull up anything. I zipped through that kind of quickly just in
Mm-hmm.
the interest of, I didn't want to take a full hour of your days, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. What do you guys think?
I have some questions.
Yeah.
That Daniel, it's correct the way how I say it's Dan.
Oh,
Danya.
Dania, yes.
Dania, sorry. Okay,
Uh-huh.
Dania. Oh, do you have questions? I'm okay if you want to ask question first, and then I can.
Oh no, I'm fine.
Okay, so my first requirement, more than a question, if you can send me that email, even though I spoke with my manager, he mentioned it also that he wants to talk with the human resources about it.
Okay.
And it will be great in a two perspective, from my manager perspective and the human resources.
Sure.
That email, that will be great, and also the slides.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is one thing. And then I'm interested so about how you can how we are going to progress regarding of the ability of the part of resilience. Don't look the failure as a failure rather than a learning lesson, and start doing, still continue. That is a question, and that's all. That is for my part. Thank
Can
you.
can you repeat that other question?
Regarding that, how you are going to develop the concept of don't look things as a failure rather than
Oh,
less.
Oh.
Yeah,
yeah.
how, because it's easy to say it, but it's difficult to do it. And
Yeah.
something that I learned before, practice may make the master. So I don't know
Yes.
what kind of practice are you going to provide, or maybe how is the way how you're going to teach. That's it.
Yeah, that's part of the growth mindset module is we look at the PQ methods. And I didn't have time to really to go through all of the methods today, but it's something that you'll learn in the course is there's 5 different ways to really activate that part of your brain that's more positive than negative. And so we go into more details of that in the course. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very well put together. Very interesting, and I think it would be very helpful
Thank you.
with things that we have talked about. My only concern is that Thursdays at 1 o'clock, I have a standing meeting.
Mm,
So, and it's a project standing meeting. So, in terms of taking the course, I would have to talk to then,
right.
our client, because
Right.
I'm expected to be at those meetings every Thursday at 1 o'clock. And then
Right.
you have it at 1. So
Yeah.
that's my only concern there. But I
Mm.
when I heard you say Thursday, I said, oh,
I'm sorry.
oh, that's okay. But
Yeah. Well, if you could delegate your participation in the meetings to the client meeting, if there's someone on
yeah,
your team that can stand in for you,
I
that's,
think that's one of the options that I was thinking about. Maybe having somebody else attend those meetings.
I mean, you can look at that as a growth opportunity or a
Mhm.
stretch opportunity for someone on your team also.
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
stand in for you. I mean, you could, if you prepare them before the meeting, you know what the
Mhm.
agenda looks like. You prepare
Yes.
them before the meeting, they debrief you afterwards, see if
Mhm.
anything comes up. I mean, it could be a good learning opportunity for that person to be exposed to the client meeting. You know,
Yeah.
obviously you would need to get permission, and I
Mhm.
totally understand
Yeah.
that.
So I would have to check on that and see if that's because it's it's specific dates. So I will
Right,
have plenty of time to get prepared, or prepare that person to be at those meetings.
right,
Um,
right.
But other than that, I think it's a very well rounded, and I love your references. I think the books that you're using, I think they're wonderful. So I think that would be something that would enhance and give me some ideas also about my future, and which way do I want to go based on our previous discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful for you.
Hmm. Yes, definitely.
Um,
Definitely.
I forgot to mention too, in terms of the dates and the schedule, that all of the
Hmm.
workshops, and you wouldn't want to miss all 6 of them, obviously, but
Mm.
if you did have a conflict with one of them, they're all recorded. So
Hmm.
I send out the slides. I drop them in my YouTube channel so that you get they're just saved in YouTube. It's
Hmm.
not for public for
Uh-huh.
public consumption at all. It's not
Yeah.
public. It's not, you can't find it on my YouTube channel at all, but it's unlisted in YouTube.
Hmm.
But I give,
Hmm.
it's just where I house all the videos, but I give the
Hmm.
link and the slides and any resources, homeworks or pre-work for the next session or anything like that. I give that all
Hmm.
that same afternoon. I send it all out to everybody ahead of
Okay.
after the workshop's done.
Mhm.
So I know
Very
some
good.
people are concerned like, oh, I've got a vacation coming up, or it's pretty often that someone would miss 1 out of the 6, not all 6,
Uh-huh.
obviously, Danya,
Yeah.
but that's pretty often what happens is people have a conflict with maybe one of the workshops or
One of the workshops. Okay.
recording
Okay.
afterward. So,
Mm.
so
But I think that's a good idea to bring some other, because there is other staff that could also attend that meeting. I don't need to be there all the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
Hmm.
developmental opportunity for someone on your team.
Definitely.
You could sell it
Definitely.
that way. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, well, think about it. Let me know.
Hmm. Will do. Will do. Definitely.
Like I mentioned, registration closes next Friday, so
Next Friday.
you can
Okay.
be in touch just by email, or if you have
Hmm.
any other questions, I'd be happy to, you can email me, or happy to hop on a phone call or a Zoom call and answer any
Hmm.
questions that you guys might have.
Okay. Thank you, Sally. This was
Thank
very
you, Sally.
informative.
Yeah, you're
Yes.
welcome. I hope to
Bye.
see you both in the class.
Yes.
That would be great.
Defi-
That's so fun. And now you know
Okay.
each other already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely. Definitely.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you.
ladies.
Well,
Well,
Have a lovely
we'll
day.
hopefully see you in the class. And if not, then maybe next time.
yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Take
Enjoy the
care.
rest of
Bye
your day.
bye.
Okay.
Bye bye.